Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Brigadier General David C. Tribula and Command Sergeant Major Christopher A. Prosser, the Commander and Command Sergeant Major of White Sands Missile Range, welcome to the White Sands Missile Range 75th birthday recognition. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the invocation delivered by Installation Chaplain Lieutenant Colonel Kyle Welch, and remain standing for the national anthem sung by Special Philip Morris of the 1st AD Band.
If you choose, please join me in prayer. Almighty God, on this beautiful desert morning, we pause to acknowledge and celebrate the founding of our missile range and all its endeavors supporting advances in missile and space technology. Through your endowment of human resources, research, and resolve, a revolution in technology with innovation has brought us to this point in time, 75 years in the making. Because of this, we humbly offer our gratitude as we reflect on these achievements today. We ask for wealth of wisdom to prevail with these that labor and concerted effort to enhance capabilities through testing. We too invite your wisdom in the strategic deployment, supporting national security and a safer world. Help us as entrusted stewards of our history to further build upon this foundation responsibly in service to the nation. All this we pray in the holy name of our God. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Please be seated. From the July 9th, 1965 issue of the Wind and Sand, at that time it was the White Sands Missile Range Post newspaper, an article titled, "WSMR Marks Its 20th Birthday." White Sands Missile Range celebrated its 20th birthday today, making it the old man of the missile ranges in the United States. Initiated with White Sands Proving Grounds on July 9th of 1945, the range was the first missile and rocket testing site established by the United States government. The opening of White Sands Proving Ground was literally earth-shaking. On July 16th, 1 week after the Army began operations here, the world's first atomic bomb was successfully detonated at the Trinity site in the northern end of the range. 2 weeks later, the desert silence was shattered again when the firing of a modified Tiny Tim rocket began the nation's aerospace activity. In the first year, there were 32 completed rocket firings here at the range. White Sands Proving Grounds was designated a national range by the Department of Defense in 1952. The name was changed to White Sands Missile Range in 1958. As a national range operated by the Army, White Sands provides facilities for the testing of Army, Navy, Air Force, Department of Defense, and NASA projects. During White Sands' 20th year, 2 major additions were made to the range's facilities. A $1.5 million McAfee Army Hospital, a modern 50-bed facility, was opened in July of 1964 to provide the best medical care possible for WSMR's military professionals and their families. The Nuclear Effects Laboratory, recently named the Nuclear Effects Branch, was opened in August and began operations studying the radiation effects on missiles components. The lab is equipped with the U.S. Army's only unshielded, fast-burst reactor, which can generate the radiation effects of a nuclear explosion without the heat and blast. The first test firing of the Lance ballistic missile in March was termed highly successful, as the new battlefield weapon scored a bullseye. As part of the Apollo program, NASA conducted a first test firing of the ascent engine of the Lunar Excursion Module, the vehicle that will someday lift 2 United States astronauts off the moon and start them on their return trip to Earth. These advances in missile and space technology are why WSMR exists. As missile weaponry progresses, White Sands Missile Range plays an ever-increasing role in the defense of the free world through the development of advanced missile systems. Ladies and gentlemen, United States Senator Tom Udall.
Hello all, Tom Udall here. I'm glad to join with you to celebrate the 75th anniversary of White Sands Missile Range. For the past 75 years, White Sands has been a focal point for scientific and engineering success, thanks to the work of our dedicated military and civilian personnel. White Sands became the premier testing range for our country's very first defensive missile systems. And White Sands has played a major role in our exploration of space, beginning with rocket pioneer Robert Goddard and continuing today in partnership with NASA and commercial space programs. The range has enabled crewed space flight, supporting the Apollo mission and all of the space shuttle missions. The range also served as a backup shuttle landing location when the Columbia returned to Earth in 1982. Looking ahead, White Sands will continue to play a pivotal role in this new era of space exploration, as a landing location and as a hub for new technologies. It's my honor to congratulate all of the hardworking personnel at White Sands for truly making it the birthplace of America's missile and space activity. Cheers, take care.
Hi, I'm Senator Martin Heinrich. It's my honor to recognize all of the patriotic Americans who have contributed to 75 years of accomplishments and history at White Sands Missile Range. On July 9, 1945, the U.S. Army established the White Sands Proving Ground in New Mexico's Tularosa Basin. 7 days later, the detonation of the first atomic bomb at the Trinity site ushered in the nuclear era. And for 3/4 of a century, White Sands has been home to major scientific breakthroughs, critical weapons testing and evaluation, and military technology advances. Today's White Sands Missile Range is the Department of Defense's largest fully instrumented open-air test range. It continues to offer unrivaled terrain and resources to our armed services, our allies, and defense technology partners. Through my role on the Senate Armed Services Committee, I've been proud to support White Sands as it stays on the forefront of testing new technologies that will be critical for our defense readiness. In the years ahead, White Sands will test emerging technologies like directed energy systems, autonomous and unmanned systems, and hypersonic and long-range precision fires. I want to extend my sincere appreciation and congratulations to everyone who continues to work hard every single day at White Sands Missile Range to keep all of us safe. President John F. Kennedy may have said it best when he stood before your predecessors at White Sands Missile Range during a visit nearly 60 years ago. He said, "What you do here, far and away from Washington, far away from our great capitals, far away from so many countries which depend upon us, what you do here, what progress you make, what dedication you demonstrate makes a significant difference to the security of our country and those who depend upon us." I couldn't agree more. I wish all of you a happy 75th anniversary and will continue to support your critical work in defense of our great nation.
Ladies and gentlemen, the commander of White Sands Missile Range, Brigadier General David C. Tribula.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you, Senator Udall and Heinrich, for your remarks. Both would have liked to have joined us in person today. Command Sergeant Major Prosser, Mr. Metter from Fort Bliss, Major General Matlock, Command Sergeant Major Cobb from Holloman Air Force Base, Colonel Keeney, Command Chief Master Sergeant Temple, our Navy and Air Force deputies, Commander Monk, Master Chief Petty Officer Hanna, Lieutenant Colonel Underwood, Chief Master Sergeant Clark, from White Sands Test Center, Colonel Cheney and Mr. Tyree, from our garrison, Colonel Ward, Mr. Anderson, Command Sergeant Major Parker, Colonel Howell, from our own McAfee Health Clinic, Lieutenant Colonel Braxton and Sergeant First Class Promotable Dubrall, from the Center for Countermeasures, Mr. Rogers, from the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, Colonel Bonham, from the Aerospace Data Facility Southwest, Colonel Todd, and from the Army Futures Command Track, Mr. Lamberts, members of the premier DoD Joint Range, our 26 subordinate and tenant organizations from the Army, Navy, Air Force, Space Force, Office of the Secretary of Defense, and NASA, state and local leaders and communities, ranchers, WSMR Hall of Fame members, WSMR Historical Foundation, spouses and families. Thank you for joining us today to recognize the 75th anniversary of White Sands Missile Range, the birthplace of America's missile and space activity. And thank you for your support over the past 75 years and for continuing to strengthen our relationship now and into the future in support of national security. We also appreciate the support that this state has given us. Having 3,000 square miles and residing in 5 different New Mexico counties, we continuously work towards a valued partnership. We're grateful to be one of the installations that creates a 3-part contiguous military space here in the Southwest, and proud of the synergistic work we have been able to accomplish alongside Fort Bliss and Holloman Air Force Base as we simultaneously produce readiness for the warfighter today and for the future. We all know that missile and rocket testing began with the V-2s in 1945. What is not well known is the vast number and types of systems tested at WSMR over the years. The names are fascinating. These include many from Greek mythology: Ajax, Athena, Hermes, Nike, and Roman mythology: Jupiter, Mercury, Saturn. A few raised questions about Class 1 supplies, our food at our remote outpost, Drumstick, Popsicle, Papa John. Then there are the missiles named after soldiers, Corporal, Sergeant, and Pershing. One of the hidden names is Hound Dog. The Hound Dog was a missile that was air-launched from B-52s near Del Rio, Texas, into Wismar in the early 60s. It was the precursor to today's cruise missiles. Indeed, there's a myth about the Hound Dog, that a famous singer had a particular liking for the missile and wrote a song called Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog. We can confirm today this is just a myth. Wismar is also the birthplace of America's space activity. While that's often tied to the early rocket research, it's much more than that. Wismar was integral to the testing of the Apollo missions, hosted the landing of the space shuttle, and continues to test the commercial crew transport that will ferry astronauts to the International Space Station and return them to White Sands Missile Range. Indeed, Wismar was so important in getting a U.S. astronaut to the moon that President Kennedy personally visited. Wismar's tie to space is firmly entrenched with long-standing NASA tenant organizations, and now we host an element of the U.S. Space Force. As with missiles for space, Wismar is testing the future, changing the world. Wismar is also the background to pop culture. The Darth Vader mask in our museum was given by Ben Burt of Lucasfilms in appreciation for the assistance he received in collecting sounds for the studio's sound library. He visited the range twice in 1978 to collect sounds of various missiles being test fired, including a Hawk missile, Lance, and a Nike Tomahawk. He also recorded the sound of a sound wave traveling up and down a tight guy wire on a radio tower. Some of these sounds were used in the movie some of you have heard of called Star Wars, for which Burt won an Academy Award. In terms of pop culture, Wismar's also where 12 Strong was filmed, providing testament to the use of the range to simulate terrain and conditions in theater simulating Afghanistan. Throughout the years, Wismar has been a leader in environmental stewardship, understanding the imperative to sustain the environment that is critical to what we do and where we live. We are thrilled that the fiscal year 2021 budget request included funding to provide water resiliency for main posts with the addition of solar power with battery backup for our wells. This is a great step forward for the future. White Sands Missile Range was what it was, it is what it is, and will be what it will be because of the efforts of the dedicated workforce. The workforce, which through the years has consisted of thousands of soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, civil servants, and contractors, and have pushed the bounds of science and technology to provide for our nation's security. Our workforce has and continues to test the future, change the world. Thank you. How many individuals have served as a proud member of the Wismar workforce over the past 75 years? The exact number doesn't matter. It's the collective achievement of the group. This has made this a great installation, what it is today and what it will be in the future. Professionals who did everything from security to accounting, from maintenance to laboratory activities, from engineering to science, and everything in between. I want to take a few minutes to highlight some examples from across the years taken from our installation newspaper and the Wismar Hall of Fame. From 1977, with two strikes against her, being a woman and handicapped, one would think the odds of succeeding in the job market might be tough. However, airline steward who works in the engineering department of Facilities Engineering Directorate didn't think so. From her wheelchair, she performed her duties as a draftsman doing civil, mechanical, building, and road drawings. She came to WSMR in 1970, but being a draftsman wasn't new to her since she had previous experience working for a defense contractor during World War II. Shortly after the war, she contracted polio, but she was determined to further develop her career in drafting. When she came to the range, she was supposed to go to the tech area, but physical barriers in the area made it impossible for her to work there. She soon found her draftsman position within the Facilities Engineering Directorate. Ms. Stewart was the WSMR coordinator for the handicapped and the installation representative to the Governor's Committee for the Removal of Barriers for the Physically Handicapped. This committee worked with businesses to make buildings and offices accessible to people on crutches, canes, and wheelchairs. Professional employees like Airline Steward, thank you. From 1985, in September 1945, an Army radar operator named Sergeant Gabriel Gallos tracked the first rocket ever fired at White Sands Proving Ground. After the completion of his military service, Gallos returned to White Sands in 1953 and embarked on a 24-year career here. First as a physicist, and then in positions in the electromechanical laboratory, where he established the electromagnetic radiation effects test program and was responsible for the advancement and the development of radars. At his retirement party in 1977, an associate said, "The effects of his work on this range, which he helped to establish, will be apparent and will be beneficial to us and to his country for years to come." He was inducted into the WSMR Hall of Fame in 1985. To professional employees like Gabriel Gallos, thank you. But a very few employees are selected to the Hall of Fame. And from 1989, we have our next example. The overwhelming majority of our folks work hard each day to make the mission happen. Employees like Eldon Huck. Huck began his career in 1958 as a telephone cable splicer, and over the years worked his way up to be the Deputy Director of U.S. Army Information Systems Command, White Sands. During his career, Huck was involved in computer automation programs and network management. In a first for WSMR, he centralized the master control for the fiber optic communication network on the range. The network allowed all 3,000 miles of fiber optics to be centrally monitored to detect problems and direct repairs. Huck retired in 1989, having completed 32 years of federal service. To professional employees like Huck Hale, thank you. From 2005, Joy Arthur was born in Manila, Philippines in 1935. She earned a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from Purdue University in 1956. She began working at WSMR in May 1958, developing instrumentation, and was the first woman engineer to work at White Sands. In 1962, she transferred to what is now known as the Army Research Laboratory's Survivability Lethality Analysis Directorate, Information Electronic Protection Division. There she evolved as a national leader in supporting Army systems to determine their vulnerabilities to electronic warfare countermeasures. Joy innovated techniques to increase the dispersion efficiency of chaff and demonstrating absorbing chaff, environmentally degradable chaff, illuminated chaff, chaff rockets, and rounds. She designed, developed, and demonstrated jamming technology. This included a missile-borne X-band jammer with a hydrazine-driven power supply. A multispectral jammer Joy devised used explosively detonated inert gases. Her numerous other projects, including determining the vulnerabilities of Army weapons such as the Patriot and the MLRS, protecting sensors against frequency-agile laser threats, developing non-lethal weaponry, creating radio frequency decoys that simulate helicopters, and detecting the unintentional radiated emissions from electronic systems and underground facilities. Joy retired in February 2005 after 46 years of innovative and proactive service to the country. To professional employees like Joy Arthur, thank you. To the thousands of members of the workforce who have contributed to WSMR over the years, thank you. To our current workforce, you are truly the essence of WSMR today, and you are mine and the Army's top priority. Your professionalism is appreciated, and your knowledge is what gets us through trying times such as these. We hope that our future workforce is listening today and learning from your example. As we continue to work in our communities with outreach endeavors like our internship programs and gains in the education of math and science, or GEMS, we want to continue to be a part of shaping young people's minds. As our local universities graduate new classes into a world of uncertainty, we hope that WSMR can be a beacon of hope for these young minds as a place where they can come and be a part of our team. We want the leaders of tomorrow to start their futures here today. Thank you for your dedication, professionalism, and devotion to duty. Each one of you contributed to the 75 years of success here at WSMR and are building upon that foundation for the future. To each of you, thank you. This ceremony is for you. People first, winning matters.
Sergeant Major Prosser will now join General Tribula for the cutting of the White Sands Missile Range 75th anniversary birthday cake. Ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you please stand and join in the singing of the Army song, Navy song, and Air Force songs. The words are printed on your program.
March along, sing our song with the army of the free. Count the brave, count the true, who have fought to victory. We're the army and proud of our name. We're the army and proudly proclaim. First who fights for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along. Then it's hi, hi, hey, the army's on its way. Count off the cadence loud and strong. For wherever we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along. My voice anchors away. Farewell to foreign shores, we sail at break of day through. All last night at shore, drink to the foam. Until we meet once more, here's wishing you a happy voyage home. God through eagle yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, zooming to meet our thunder. Atom boys, give her the gun. Here we ride, zooming to meet. Off with one hell of a roar. We live in fame or go down in flame. Hey, nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's recognition of the White Sands Missile Range birthday celebration. Cupcakes and refreshments will be served in front of the building directly behind you immediately following the ceremony. Thank you for helping us celebrate the White Sands Missile Range 75th birthday. We remind you to stay Army strong and have a Team Winsper Day. Thank you all for attending.